Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Monday, December 6th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Another legal victory for the San Diego Unified School District and its COVID-19 vaccination mandate. An appeals court ruled the district is acting in the best interest of students and not discriminating on the basis of religion and requiring students 16 and up to be vaccinated. KPBS education reporter MG Perez brings us the update.
All right, sweetheart. So after here, you're going to go ahead and wait 15 minutes, okay?
Carla Delgado is a registered nurse on the front lines of the fight to stop COVID-19. She's one of several medical professionals working the UC San Diego health vaccination ban. Today's stop is at Morse High School. Delgado estimates she has personally given 1,000 shots since September, and it hasn't always been easy.
I even got accused once that I was injecting poison in someone, and that didn't really affect me at all because these are the people that don't understand how important it is to get vaccine, and the COVID is killing people every day.
A 16-year-old Scripps Ranch high school student and her parents continue to demand a religious exemption to the vaccine. An appeals court has denied their legal demand to stop San Diego Unified from requiring eligible students to be fully vaccinated by the start of the spring semester in late January. The student's attorney, Paul Jana, said today, "We will seek emergency relief from the U.S. Supreme Court as soon as possible, and we're confident that a majority of justices will conclude that the district's vaccine mandate violates the First Amendment." Even with all the legal attempts to stop the district's mandate, the UCSD health vaccination ban keeps rolling on. But wait, there's more, coming in the form of pop-up clinics. Sharp Healthcare is now setting up those clinics on other district campuses too, offering all COVID vaccines for adults and children's doses to students 5 and up. Michelle Jenkins and Jessica Pitts work to support children with special needs at Morse High School. They took a break to get their booster shots today, specifically for their students.
Some of them are excited about getting the vaccine. They also agree that they do need it and they want that.
I put my students first every single day, so if it requires me being safe to be vaccinated in order for them to get a world-class education, I'm going to do what I have to do.
District officials say more than 1,800 people have gotten shots aboard the vaccine ban as of last week. MG Perez, KPBS News.
County health officials say they saw an increase in COVID-19 cases over Thanksgiving, and with the emergence of a new variant, there's worry about another winter surge. But KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman says there's a silver lining.
Omicron is out there. The suspected more contagious COVID-19 variant has now been discovered in more than a dozen states, and officials are on the lookout for it in San Diego.
It's just a matter of days or weeks that we will have cases. But the real crux of the question, in my view, is will this Omicron take over Delta?
Dr. Francesca Torriani is an infectious disease specialist at UC San Diego Health. She says while Omicron appears more transmissible than the Delta variant, some data shows that infection is not as severe, but we still don't know how well the current vaccines will work.
We have to wait for the information to come back.
Torriani says it isn't necessarily surprising that a new variant of concern is here, especially as millions still are not vaccinated.
This virus is able to replicate and transmit because we don't have enough people who have immunity, so who are by vaccination. There's no sweet way of talking ourselves out of this pandemic without thinking about vaccination.
Hospitals are preparing for a potential increase in cases, whether it be from Omicron or holiday gatherings. Last winter, hospitals reached their breaking point, but now we have vaccines and early treatment for those infected.
The silver lining here is that we have so much more information that we didn't have a year ago.
We also know that COVID spreads easily in indoor settings with poor ventilation, and Toriani says people need to travel and celebrate responsibly this holiday season.
We already know what needs to be done. We'll just have to adapt. Not traveling if you're sick, that includes testing.
She also adds that outbreaks are still happening in schools and is encouraging everyone, including kids, to get vaccinated if they haven't.
Unlike, early on in the pandemic, now we're finding that children are transmitting to their parents.
CDC data shows that about half of Americans ages 65 and older have so far gotten their booster doses. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
San Diego State's football team had high hopes of a Mountain West football championship, but as KPBS's Kitty Alvarado reports, those hopes were dashed when more than a dozen players had to sit out the game.
Welcome to the 2021 Mountain West Championship game on Fox. From Carson, California, it's the 11-1 and 19th-ranked San Diego State Aztecs.
The Aztecs were ready, hyped up, and had the record over Utah State going into Saturday's championship game. All the signs pointed to victory.
Everyone was really excited to be there and really excited to potentially win the championship.
And fans showed up big time.
And run for a first down.
Many, like Martina Malalepsky, even made the 2-hour road trip to Carson to support their beloved Aztecs.
Going into the game, I thought we had it in the bag.
But soon, that hope turned into despair.
It's a touchdown for Utah State.
Things kind of just started snowballing, and, they weren't able to come back from it.
Very frustrating. Obviously, we didn't do what we needed to do to win. We just made too many mistakes, missed too many opportunities.
The final score, 46-13.
As wide open bowling, blown coverage and a touchdown.
But those numbers aren't as important as the number of players who couldn't attend practices or the game. SDSU says more than a dozen players skipped a week of practice and the game because of what the school calls medical concerns. During a news conference, Coach Brady Hoke implied they were COVID-related. We reached out to SDSU Athletics and the school's Student Health Center to confirm whether COVID was involved and whether the problem extends beyond the football team. We did not hear back. Aztecs radio broadcasters Rich Ornberger and Ted Leitner wrapped it up this way.
We appreciate you. Take a bow. Get well soon. And that's how this season unfortunately ends, with a loss, 46-13.
It's a reality of the world in 2021.
On the plus side, the Aztecs made it to the Frisco Bowl and will play the San Antonio Roadrunners on December 21st. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
The new SDSU Stadium in Mission Valley has been bestowed a name, previously known as Aztec Stadium. Today, SDSU announced as part of the long-term collaboration with Qualcomm, the new 35,000-seat athletic facility will be known as Snapdragon Stadium. Snapdragon is Qualcomm's mobile platform namesake. The naming rights include a 15-year, $3 million per year agreement. It will need formal approval from the California State University Board of Trustees. The San Diego City Council today ousted Jen Campbell as council president after just 1 year. The vote was something of a surprise. Campbell had sought a second year in the position, but she's faced criticism for her stances on a host of issues, including short-term home rentals and policing. A motion to re-elect her failed in a 5-4 vote. Council members then elected District 9 Councilman Sean Elo Rivera, who said he wants the city council to fulfill its potential.
That means being a strong council. That means being a responsible council, a transparent council, and a collaborative council that upholds responsible governance, that is as good as the people that we aim to serve.
Elo Rivera has been in office for just 1 year. His district includes City Heights, Kensington, Talmadge, College area, and parts of southeastern San Diego. Part of the recently enacted $1 trillion federal infrastructure bill set aside more than $100 billion to repair aging highways and bridges. North County multimedia reporter Alexander Nguyen looks at a bridge that could benefit from this new legislation.
This is probably a good place to start, right?
Maurice Correa is a longtime resident of Del Mar. He's glad to see the Camino Del Mar Bridge is slated to be replaced.
No doubt, no doubt. it's rust, right?
The bridge is considered structurally deficient, meaning it needs to be monitored and repaired or replaced. The bridge spans the San Diego River at Del Mar's Dog Beach. As part of Highway 101, it's one of the most traveled thoroughfares in the city. More than 20,000 cars cross it daily. The bridge is 89 years old, but it's not being replaced because it's old. As you can see, the concrete is crumbling and there's rust everywhere. It was built in 1932 and widened in 1952. Del Mar has been trying to replace it for years. In 2017, the city received a grant from the Federal Highway Administration that will cover almost 90% of the estimated $49 million replacement cost. Del Mar will need to come up with the rest of the money.
We hope there may be some federal grants that are going along with this infrastructure bill that will allow us to use it for a local match.
Del Mar City Councilman David Drucker says the city has spent $1.4 million and would need to raise $2.2 million between now and 2025 when construction is expected to begin. But it's not just this bridge. The infrastructure bill will help a host of other projects in San Diego. Eric Bruvald is the CEO of the North County Economic Development Council.
And so this will be a great way of jump-starting that investment and moving the ball forward with the kinds of changes that we need to make.
He says there are lots of needs, and this is an opportunity for smart investment, such as strengthening the bluffs along the coastal rail corridor. Sandag is looking to move the tracks more inland, but for now, he says the immediate concern is stabilizing the bluffs in light of sea level rise caused by climate change. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
The Remain in Mexico policy was reinstated today. Migrants will have to wait in Mexico for their asylum claims to be processed in the U.S. A federal court ruling blocked the White House from ending the Trump-era policy this summer and forced the federal government to restart it. Migrant advocacy groups say it creates dangerous situations for those fleeing violence in their home countries.
I think it's going to create conditions where more migrants will be harmed, especially because we've seen MPP in practice in the past, and this has led to increased abusive practices and experiences by migrants who are waiting for their asylum cases to be processed.
Advocacy groups say more than 70,000 migrants have been kept in Mexico while their asylum claims are processed. The Biden administration has committed to completing cases within 6 months. Many people who fought and died on behalf of the U.S. during 20 years of war in Afghanistan were actually contractors, not U.S. troops. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh says it's part of a change in the way America fights its wars, with lasting consequences.
You become a lot less concerned with your own safety than you do the guys behind you, because they're putting their life in your hand.
Andy Coots had been working as a narcotics dog handler for a police department in Texas. In 2008, he was hired by a private contractor to work with bomb-sniffing dogs in Afghanistan. In less than a month, Coots was in the field with special forces.
Our rotation typically was we'd be there for 6 months, and then we get to come home for like 23 days, and then we go back. And then you go back for 6 more months.
As the number of roadside bombs skyrocketed, he stayed for nearly 8 years until his injuries piled up and his wife convinced him that it was time to come home.
When you know there's nobody out there that's seen what you've seen and you can't go anywhere to people who have been through and seen that, you feel real isolated and lonely. And again, that's why a lot of contractors commit suicide, but it doesn't make the news.
Noah Coburn is an anthropologist with Bennington College. He spent time in Afghanistan trying to get a handle on the number of contractors hired by the U.S.
And frankly, the political cost of a contractor being killed is much less. It oftentimes doesn't even get reported on. And you can see it simply in the headlines after these attacks, where it will say 3 troops killed, and it won't even mention the fact that they were with 12 contractors at the time.
Brown University found about 7,000 military members died in all post 9/11 conflicts. But nearly 8,000 contractors died. Coburn says private contractors hide the true cost of war.
Hiring companies to do the work that the military did historically, whether it's building the bases, whether it's delivering fuel,
The effort to bring former Afghan contractors to the U.S. is a small part of a larger issue.
It's the one thing that every one of the last 4 administrations has agreed upon entirely. It's the one constant in our strategies in the war in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and that is the ratio of contractors to troops have steadily increased over the last 20 years.
No one has a complete list of who was hired. Some were Americans, many were Afghans. A large number were from third-party countries like Nepal and the Philippines. A few were highly paid, but most earned a tiny fraction of the trillions of dollars the U.S. spent in Afghanistan. And when they got hurt, instead of military doctors and VA benefits, companies used a version of workman's comp known as the Defense Base Act. Jeffrey Winters is an attorney in San Diego who handles these cases.
They start to recognize they have flashbacks, they have things that startle them, and it gets to the point where the family says, look, you either need to go see somebody or we're leaving. It just gets to be that bad.
Lawsuits can drag on for years. The dog handler Andy Coots is back in Texas. He was actually in the Navy years before going to Afghanistan, but he's paying for his own PTSD treatment after receiving a settlement.
I don't think of myself as just the civilian out there with those guys. It's just when you get outside that little bubble that me or anybody else who is in my position becomes just vapor. You know, they just kind of disappear and we have to deal with it ourselves.
Not at home with fellow combat veterans, but not really able to move on from years of war. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
A recent investigation by our media partner iNewsSource recently took center stage on Capitol Hill. iNewsSource investigative reporter Jill Castellano has the latest.
In an investigation published last month, iNewsSource uncovered that the VA healthcare system is restricting access to medical treatments for veterans so the government department can save money. On Wednesday, senators on the Veterans Affairs Committee gathered for a hearing on the state of the VA, and they took it as an opportunity to ask the head of the VA himself about the reporting. Senator Mike Rounds from South Dakota said he worried the VA cares more about money than offering the best treatment options to veterans.
I think we've got a real problem, and I think it goes back down to dollars and cents. I have concerns that these examples are not isolated.
In his response, the U.S. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Dennis McDonough, said his team has dug deep into the reporting to get to the bottom of it.
We took it very seriously, including with the team in San Diego, to get to the bottom of it, as you, I think, would expect us to do. What I believe is that we are giving best available care to our veterans, including historically high levels of care in the community.
In a statement, the VA said it has made several changes since the investigation published to ensure veterans have access to the health care they need. That includes starting an audit and compliance program at the San Diego VA hospital. For KPBS, I'm iNewsSource investigative reporter Jill Castellano.
To read the investigation, go to iNewsSource.org. iNewsSource is an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS.
We're looking at a little bit of a cool trend over the next several days. In fact, another cool down is on the way, likely for the second half of this work week. And along with it, we have some shower chances too. One comes late tonight into early Tuesday morning, mainly for some of the areas along the coast. And there's another chance for some more showers as we head towards Thursday of this week. As we move into tonight, temperatures fall off into the low 50s in Oceanside, upper 40s for you in El Cajon, low 50s out towards Borrego Springs. And again, some of that moisture moving onshore here as we head into Tuesday across southern parts of California. Now, it is going to be kind of hit or miss here, so you might get in on a little bit of wet weather near the coast, but further inland, it's likely going to be very, very spotty in nature here. Elsewhere, it is going to be warm across much of the northern and central parts of California, but for us across southern California, that's likely going to bring in a little bit of some cooler air. Low 60s for you in Escondido, low 60s out towards El Cajon, 63 in Chula Vista, 40s in Mount Laguna, even Borrego Springs in the low 70s there for your daytime highs. As we head towards Wednesday, another push of some cooler air beginning to move on in here, but the warmth really is going to return to parts of the Four Corners region. This jet is going to eventually kind of flatten out here, and perhaps we see another push of some warmer air across the interior spots. Meanwhile, near the coast, we're going to get that cooler push of air for the middle of the work week. Near the coast, morning sprinkles Tuesday, more sunshine Wednesday before again we have the chance for some afternoon showers Thursday with temperatures staying in the low 60s through Friday. Further inland, not looking at much in the way of rain Tuesday, perhaps some showers on Thursday with temperatures falling into the upper 50s. Otherwise, generally looking to stay in the 60s. In the mountains, windy conditions, showers Thursday with temps in the 40s. We fall into the 30s on Friday for warming back into the 40s this weekend. And in the deserts, temperatures go from the 70s Tuesday and Wednesday back into the 60s Thursday, Friday, and heading into Saturday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
I'm Amna Navaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, an epidemiologist answers your questions about the rapidly spreading Omicron variant. That's coming up at 7 right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Hi, I'm John Decker. Thank you for watching Evening Edition on KPBS. Now more than ever, local news is essential to our democracy, and KPBS is committed to delivering local news in San Diego and the Imperial Valley. Evening Edition, along with our other services on radio, digital, and podcasts, is how our news team delivers the news to you. How can we do it? With a passion for accurate storytelling and a commitment to excellence in journalism. But most importantly, we do it with your support, our members, our viewers. If you've already donated to KPBS, then we thank you very much for your continued support. If you haven't had a chance to donate, now is a great time to show how much you appreciate the news we deliver. So please go online and choose a level, pick a gift at kpbs.org, or call or text donate at 1-800-576-5727, and thank you.
The holidays are wrapped in a season of giving and donations. As KPBS education reporter MG Perez shows us, right now, community college students are among those in need.
Hunger is on the move among California's community college students. The state confirms half of them, 50%, don't have the money or resources to buy enough food.
I have some more mashed potatoes up here.
18-year-old CJ Pollock is a freshman at San Diego Mesa College. He moved here from San Jose with plans to keep playing soccer and begin his education toward a career in civil engineering. Just before Thanksgiving, he joined hundreds of fellow students lined up in their cars in one of Mesa's parking garages. This is the third annual Pack the Pantry food drive, a community collaboration between the college, the San Diego Food Bank, and California Coast Credit Union, established by teachers in 1929 to improve education. Never expecting in 2021 students would be going hungry.
That's a problem because what happens is these students have the potential of, dropping a class, missing class, or even not achieving their academics to the potential that they normally might.
CJ is grateful to be able to fill up his car with so many cans and boxes.
This helps me because then I don't have to go grocery shopping, and I can also afford rent with a little bit of help. But this is it's a lot of food, and it's going to help me in the long run, so I'm able to eat. Go ahead and grab utensils. We got bread.
Mesa College also hosted an early Thanksgiving dinner for students who could use an extra meal. Hunger insecurity is happening on four-year university campuses, too. The University of California reports 44% of its students often go hungry, and 14% of them don't have stable housing. That percentage is even higher for community college students.
You live in apartment, student housing?
No, I'm currently homeless.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Alex Montez represents one of those statistics, and he is determined to turn it into his success story. He's an immigrant from Colombia, trying to find housing through the San Diego LGBT Community Center. At the moment, he uses Mesa's Basic Needs Resource Center, called The Stand.
I usually come here I check what kind of snacks they have, you know.
Johanna Alaman is the stand coordinator who also comforts students when they need it most.
They don't have anybody who cares, anybody who will help them. And so listening to those stories can get emotionally overwhelming. But we do everything we can. And most of them leave feeling at least that the college loves them.
All your canned food goods, anything from canned vegetables to canned fruits.
At Cal State San Marcos, they packed a new pantry. The ribbon was just cut on the school's student Cougar Pantry, which is now 1,200 square feet, filled with food, both non-perishable and frozen. There are diapers and hygiene products for struggling students who are parents, all provided by Feeding San Diego, the San Diego Food Bank, and local grocery stores as another solution to the problem.
Having access to a meal or, ingredients that can put together a meal. That way you're not stressing over having to worry about what to eat, while on top of that having to worry about different stressors that come from being a student.
That's food for thought as Alex Montez begins an education for his future career.
Probably develop or help develop some of the new generation of bionic arms and limbs overall. That's probably what I want to achieve.
Food feeds students while nourishing their dreams. MG Perez, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.